What is going on, guys? It has been a long time since I've done a live review for a Raw or SmackDown, but I figured tonight I enjoyed SmackDown, and I figured, what the hell? I'd come up here, give you guys a live review, break down my thoughts on SmackDown, which over the past number of months has easily been the better show compared to Monday Night Raw. There is no question. SmackDown Live is a solid show, for the most part, week to week. Solid average. While Raw is the epitome of a dumpster fire that continues to get worse and worse and worse. And last night's Raw was so bad, I was tired as it was. So I go, turn on Raw, lay down on the couch. The first hour, kind of drifting in and out of consciousness. At second hour hit. I went right to bed, and I woke up at 11:05, and the show was over. So really, the best way to watch 3 hours of Raw is to lay down, take a nap, and then wake up when the show's over. Because by then, the best part of the show has happened. When that WWE logo comes up, and the show is gone. So yeah, if you guys are tuning in, I want to say thank you for watching. Live chat will be open throughout this entire review, so leave your thoughts, your comments as we go through this episode of SmackDown Live, which I have to say I thought was, again, solid. It continued to build heading into Hell in a Cell. It wasn't focused on Evolution or whatever the Super Showdown show is on October 6th. To me, Raw is juggling way too much right now. And looking at the Hell in a Cell card here, I will bring it up. We have a total of 7 matches announced for that show, and only 2 from Raw. The rest are from SmackDown Live. So the 2-hour show gets more done than the 3-hour show. Now tell me, isn't there something wrong with that picture? Be that as it may, let's get into this SmackDown Live review. Because like I said, I got a lot I want to say. So we kick things off, SmackDown Live. Daniel Bryan, Brie Bella, they come out and talk about how The Miz and Maurice trying to embarrass them earlier in the day, asking them to come down to the ring before the arena was even open. Bryan calls The Miz and Maurice cowards, and, you know, they don't want to wait till Hell in a Cell. They want Miz and Maurice to come out right here, right now, and they want to do this mixed tag team match. However, they're not in the building. And instead, Andrade Cien Almas and Zelina Vega come down to the stage. And Almas says he wants a match with Daniel Bryan right here, right now. So we get Andrade Cien Almas versus Daniel Bryan. Another good match between these two. I don't know which match I liked more, last week's or this week's. This was a really good match here. I mean, these two just have great chemistry. I would love to see them work a program down the line. You know, the more you build up Almas, and even though he took the loss here, took the loss here after Bryan hit the running knee for the win. You know, I still thought he had a good showing here, back-to-back weeks with Daniel Bryan. So that was really good to see. After the match, Brie takes down Zelina Vega. The Miz and Maurice appear on the Tron and say, they're taking the night off, or so we thought. They're going out on a date, and they're going to rent out the entire restaurant so they don't have to dine with any of these Detroit people. So I thought that was a nice little dig right there by The Miz and Maurice. And then it looks like Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella are headed off to the same restaurant. So I thought this was a really great way to start the show. Didn't waste any time. We got a good match between Bryan and Almas. What more could you want? And this show didn't put me to sleep. So 2 thumbs up for that. Next year, we had an interview segment between Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch. I thought this was some of Charlotte's better mic work. And I thought Becky here, ever since she turned heel, while I wasn't a fan of the heel turn at SummerSlam, I still think she's making the most of it. And instead of having her crap on the fans, really turning that anger towards Charlotte for essentially stealing the championship, as she did. And Lynch tells Flair to go screw yourself. And Lynch is She's not asking from here on out. She is taking back the SmackDown Women's Championship, and it has officially been announced that Charlotte and Becky will collide at Hell in a Cell, which I have to say, looking at this card, it's a pretty solid card. You got the mixed tag between Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella versus The Miz and Maurice. You got AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe. Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman, Hell in a Cell match. Ronda Rousey versus Alexa Bliss. Jeff Hardy versus Randy Orton, Hell in a Cell. Then Charlotte versus Becky for the Women's Championship. Is a really solid card, I'd have to say. I'm looking forward to Hell in a Cell, more so than Evolution or the Super Showdown. I don't even think I'm going to watch that. It's at 5 a.m., and there's really... Bryan and Miz is the only match on that show that I care about. So be that as it may, we had Naomi versus Peyton Royce. Naomi is able to hit the sunset flip onto Royce and get the win. After the match, the Iconics beating down Naomi, and who would help make the save but Asuka, the Empress of Tomorrow. That's right, Asuka made the save here. And boy, how the mighty have fallen. I hope they build Asuka back up because I'm a huge fan of Asuka, and just to see what happened to her after WrestleMania. It's like, okay, she lost, and they had no idea what to do from there. And it's baffling. So now you have to go into rebuild mode with Asuka because there's really nothing else that you can do with her at this point. I mean, you just have to build her back up. So hopefully that's what we see. But the 2 losses to Carmella didn't help, and then she just kind of faded into obscurity. I have not been a fan. That's one thing about SmackDown. I have not been a fan of the way they booked Asuka. I thought she was booked much, 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 much better when she was on Monday Night Raw. Backstage, Miz and Maurice going to Paige's office. They say they're looking for Bryan and Brie, and Paige says, well, Miz, you actually have a match tonight, and you can face whoever you want. And if you don't have the match, then don't ever bother coming back on my show. And these skits with R-Truth thinking that Maurice is Carmella, and then, working with Carmella later on in the night. I actually have to say, I've been digging these R-Truth segments ever since he went to SmackDown. I don't know if it's because of the writing or what have you, but I've actually been laughing at R-Truth and what he's been doing here. Usually I couldn't stand him when he was on my TV, but kudos. It's actually working here on SmackDown Live. And these segments served a purpose because it led to our main event. And we'll talk about that later on in the review. But moving on here, Samoa Joe. Of course, he says hello to Wendy. And he talks about how he isn't going to go to AJ Styles' house. He's not that type of man. And he keeps berating his family. And he says that Hell in a Cell, a very bad man, is going to take her daddy's title. And Joe is going to make AJ Styles go night-night. How can you not love the Samoa Joe, AJ Styles feud? I think it's been some of the best stuff on WWE TV. I think the more personal that this feud gets, just gets better. And to me, that's what makes it a really good feud right now. Just digging into AJ Styles' family. I hope, for one, that Samoa Joe actually shows up at AJ Styles' house. You never know, he might. But Joe's running his mouth. The Phenomenal One came out, and just him and Joe started to brawl. The refs came down, pulled them apart. Joe looked like he was going to use the chair, and Styles tried to take Joe's head off with the chair. He ducks, hits the ring post. Referees come down to the ring, and Styles dives on top of Joe. And then Paige cools AJ down and diffuses the situation. So this was really good stuff here. I hope they attach a stipulation to AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe. If it's not going to be Hell in a Cell, since we already have 2 Hell in a Cell matches, I'm kind of leery about doing 3 or more. That's really... I was not a fan when they did that a couple years ago. I feel like 2 is the right... It's either 1 or 2. That's all you need. But I think a good stipulation for this feud would be Styles versus Joe. Falls count anywhere. Let me know what you guys think of that. We're just cruising right along here. Like, this is such 2 hours. It's just so much easier to watch than 3. I cannot state that enough. That's why this review is really easy to get through. With the use of We have the Usos versus Sanity versus Rusev Day. And Rusev Day was victorious. Rusev hit the Machka kick on Eric Young for the win. So I'm happy to see Rusev Day win. And next week they will face the Bar to determine who faces the New Day at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. However, my one gripe about this is, what was the point of bringing Sanity up if you're just going to have him job out? I mean, seriously. I don't get the point of bringing up some of these talents from NXT and then you just do nothing with them. It's really bizarre and really baffling. So Sanity, just don't really care anymore at this point. Oh, I don't understand it. It's bizarre. So then we get to our main event. Miz and Maurice. Miz comes down to the ring. They show the footage of him and Maurice beating down Daniel Bryan, Brie Bella. And Miz calls out Bryan and Brie. Nobody comes out. And out comes Carmella and R-Truth. We get the Miz versus R-Truth in the main event of SmackDown Live, but it was built up to throughout the night, so I'll give them that. I thought they had a decent match. Daniel Bryan and Brie walk out on the ramp for the distraction. R-Truth rolls up the Miz for the win. If you heard me right, R-Truth beat the Miz. And after the match, Bryan puts Miz in the S-Lock. Brie sets up the running knee. Vegas and Almas come down, try and beat down Daniel Bryan, Brie Bella, and eventually they're thrown into the ring, and Brie and Bryan put Almas and Vega in the stereo yes-locks as Miz and Maurice look on. So that was this week's edition of SmackDown Live. I have to say, a solid show. Looking back at it on paper, if I had to give it a grade, I'm between a B+ and a B. Probably leaning more towards the B. Oh, and the video packages for Randy Orton and Jeff Hardy, very well done. So I think I'm going to lean towards the B+. I thought this was a really solid edition of SmackDown Live. And yeah, I'm looking forward to Hell in a Cell, at least on the SmackDown Live side of things. Raw, I don't know what I'm going to do with that going forward. It's just really, really tough to continue to watch a show that literally put me to sleep. I mean, that should be the new tagline for Monday Night Raw. A show that will put you to sleep. Meanwhile, SmackDown is at least average to solid. So apparently what I've realized is WWE is incompetent, or they're incapable of producing two good shows. Why is that so hard to do? It's either Raw, as I thought last year was the better show than SmackDown, and now SmackDown is the better show than Raw. Is it so hard to balance things out and give us two good shows each week? Apparently, for this company, it is. But be that as it may, that does it for my live review here. Like I said, it's great to be back up here for a weekly live review. Maybe I'll do more of these in the near future. We'll see. At least for SmackDown, definitely not for Raw. I can tell you that right now, unless things improve big time. But of course, I will be doing my Hell in a Cell predictions video next week, and of course, live reactions videos for certain matches on the Hell in a Cell card to be determined. I will be doing a live review for the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view next week as well. I'll be doing my top 5 matches I'd like to see at the Evolution pay-per-view event. Be sure to check out my personal vlog videos as well, highlighting my training and stunt work and choreography with the Kane Action Team, done by Matt Kane. Great personal trainer, great friend. Shout out to him and his pages, so be sure to check those out as well on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Kane Action Team. No relation to the Demon Kane or Mayor Kane or Corporate Kane or Isaac Yankem or, no relation at all as far as I'm concerned. You never know. Kane might show up at one of our practices, and if he does, I'm going to get chokeslammed to hell. But be that as it may, that does it for this live review, guys. I want to say thank you all for tuning in. And be sure to check out more video content coming soon to this channel at youtube.com/DanielGuys412. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at DanielGuys412. Be sure to check out my Facebook page, facebook.com/DanielGuys1994. Links will be down below in the description box. So until then, guys, thanks for watching and have a great night.